Two Fort Pierce police officers who shot and killed an unarmed man will face no criminal charges in his death.
That was the decision of a St. Lucie County grand jury today. We have team coverage on reaction to this decision, and we begin with News Channel 5's John Shainman live outside the St. Lucie West Courthouse. John?
Well, this case involves DeMarcus Semer, who would have been 22 years old on Monday. The Chief Assistant State Attorney telling us late this afternoon that this case is just an unmitigated tragedy.
They didn't have to kill him. Golly, for what?
DeMarcus Semer's mother, distraught over learning the officers who shot her son will not face criminal prosecution. Chief Assistant State Attorney Tom Bakadal said at most, Semer would have faced misdemeanor drug charges.
Because all he had to do was step out of the car, and Mr. Semer would be here with us today.
After a traffic stop for speeding April 23rd, the first Fort Pierce police officer noticed a small amount of marijuana on the instrument panel in Semer's car. After refusing to get out, Semer put the car in gear, running over one officer's legs. That officer fired his weapon from just above the ground. The second officer, who had eventually gotten into the car, said Semer was trying to push him out, and upon hearing the initial shots, assumed Semer fired the gun. Seconds later, Semer got out of the car and there was a short pursuit. The second officer said Semer turned back toward him and raised one of his hands. The officer said he saw an object in Semer's hand and fired. When finally reaching Semer, his hands were empty, his cell phone found a few feet away. The shooting happened outside Regina Brown's house, where Semer was heading to meet with friends.
Unbelievable. I'm just sad that it happened like that. I kind of felt like it was going to go that way, but it's just unbelievable that they let him go.
Bakadal said his office interviewed more than 60 witnesses, and the investigation fills 4,000 pages. But the police officers involved, 12-year veterans Keith Holmes and Sergeant Brian McNaught, had to make split-second decisions.
Everything that we're talking about happened in less than 30 seconds, probably in the neighborhood of 26 to 27 seconds. All of these decisions were made, life and death decisions.
Bakadal said he's upset that there is no police dash cam video in this case, and that one of the experts his office brought in mentioned that there were a number of instances that the officers did things that were, quote, lawful but awful. For example, the first officer fired his gun. Two of those shots went into the car, nearly hitting the other officer who was inside the vehicle at the time. Now, the attorneys for the Semer family telling us that they do plan to file a wrongful death lawsuit in civil court. We're live at Port St. Lucie. John Shainman, WPTV News Channel 5.